All right, so the first question is, before I had turned this off, the anonymous attendee function. So I will read that question, and I'm going to go in order of in which we have everyone list. So it's going to be Wes first, and then Wes, you'll answer first, and then we'll go to Dennis, Steve, Joanne, Doug, and then Guy. Okay?
Moderator, can I add?
Okay. First question is, how do you plan to incorporate pride, unity, strength, and vision into your platform as chief? Wes?
Pride, unity, and vision. They are very strong pillars in how we operate as Indigenous people. And it's reigniting and rekindling our fire within ourselves and within our roles and responsibilities as Indigenous people. We have pride in who we are, and we're not wavering to move into the colonized world without those values moving with you. And when we do that, we all have our roles and responsibilities within the community and within the cultural responsibilities that we all take care of one another, and that will instill the pride and unity within each other. Because, you know, we have to come to the table and we all have a role and responsibility for each other, but also, when we take care of those roles and responsibilities and we look at each other with the gifts that you were given to be here while you're on your time on this planet, those things will instill that pride and that vision and that unity back in our community, looking at each other with the gifts that they present. And that's what I feel is like we want to return to. Rich. Joseph, also, can I just ask that can we flip back and forth maybe on the question? Maybe go 1 through 6, and the next question goes 6 through 1.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Cool. Dennis, do you have anything to add to this?
Oh, okay. I've always liked the logo. Whenever I've come, I see the logo there close to the administration building. I think it flies in the on a flag there by the gondola. I call it a gondola, but it's right there across from the administration building. And I think that needs to be, you know, I think people should have the ability to fly that in a flag, you know, especially for the mainland community members, because then it shows a tie, you know, a tie that they feel very strongly about to promote Christian Island. So that needs to be incorporated in just about everything that we do, including economic development, whether we're building a new seniors residence, whether, you know, these things, that logo should be prominently displayed on the outside of every building, or at least on a hanging sign outside of that building. And I think if we, well, for the people that get elected this term is, you know, before the meeting officially starts, you know, stand together, hold hands, say a prayer, and, you know, have that there. Maybe that symbol should be on the council table. Unfortunately, I've never been into the council room, so I don't know what the table looks like. So, and I think, you know, as part of all of our news releases, that logo, and I'm pretty sure it is most of the time being utilized. But everywhere we go, like if we go to, you know, if the chief and a couple of councillors go to the AFN or they go to the UOI meetings, then, you know, they should take our flag with them and let them know that, you know, we care about our community. We're broadcasting that pride, unity, strength, and vision is what Christian Island is all about. And I think that will help, you know, tremendously with the members if they see that, and then if they can fly it at their home, or they can buy a T-shirt with that logo. It builds that pride and that sense of community.
Okay, thanks, Dennis. Steve?
Okay, yeah, so we're pride and unity. You know, I think that we have strength in numbers. And I think right now we're, you know, pretty much a community divided when we have, you know, we have the on-island members, we have the off-island members, And it just seems to be two distinct groups. And I think, you know, we need to bring that together as one, and again, have strength in numbers. So I think a lot of that's going to come with the communication, reaching out and getting to the off-island members, so that we can have that strength. Because when we're divided, we're not going to accomplish too much. But if we have all the members all on the same page, all informed about what we're doing, I know we'll be that much stronger. So, you know, that's one of my priorities, is to have that all come together. And, you know, strength also comes with health and wellness too, you know, and I think that's one thing too. Especially what I've seen on Gymnasting is that, you know, sometimes our health and wellness is not quite there. You know, so I think whether we need a bit more programs or facilities to strengthen the island with health and wellness, I think that's something that we look into as well. You know, whether that's more, you know, maybe like outdoor gyms, just things for people to do outside, to get outside more. I think that's something too that we need around here. So that would be more my direction.
All right, thanks, Steve. Joanne?
Okay, so we as a membership in the community, we and Anishinaabe people already have pride, unity, strength, and vision. That's why we made that flag. That's why we have that letterhead. And that's why we take that flag everywhere we go. We come together as a complete membership, everyone, both on and off our First Nation, for Family Day, Native Solidarity Day, Easter, and many other occasions, including Christmas, Thanksgiving, even Achievement Day. We have all kinds of people. My daughter comes here with my grandchildren and brings them in the races and everything. So we have to work a little bit harder, but because of this COVID, that's been really ruining all of us, because we can't meet with anybody. I live by myself. The only one that comes to my house is my granddaughter. And I think once this is done, we can just move closer together to get everybody united again. We're all related. We're all cousins, first cousins, like I said, brothers and sisters. So just have to strengthen that unity, pride, vision as a people, and get it going again. That's all. Once this is over, we're going on almost a year and a half now of COVID restrictions, and it's harder on us because we rely on a boat system that tells us when we can come and go.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Joanne. All right, I'll mute you, Joanne, okay?
Yes, you do that, Joe.
All right, we'll move on to Doug.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Strength, unity. We already have this. Again, we are proud, okay? And again, we need to get the off-reserve people and Gymnasting people together to be proud again, okay? And to celebrate those things. And, you know, community is everything. Everybody deserves a chance to speak. And a lot of us, whether we speak or not, some of us are not heard. So we need to be open and provide those opportunities for others to be heard. Then we'll get together and be strong, because once we're together and working for a common goal, there's who knows what we can do. We can do amazing things. No, me watching them.
All right, Chief.
All right, so thank you for that question. I know trying to remember that pride, unity, strength, and vision can be hard for everybody, because you have to have a strong belief that we can do this. You have to have a strong belief in each of those areas. And we talk about a community constitution, but I think we have to start with a personal constitution of how we treat each other. And when you see the social challenges on a daily basis, and a lot of these end up on my desk and on my phone calls, and you see that the challenges on a day-to-day basis, like the social challenges, And not everybody's going to have that belief in pride, unity, strength, and vision if they're not ready for it. And I think I always said that there's only two things that affect us in life, is what we do to each other and what we say to each other. Those two things of how we decide what you're going to do to somebody and what you're going to say to somebody is really your decision, and how you do that, whether it's good or bad, it's going to affect them in some way. If somebody comes up to me and says, "Chief, you're doing a good job," that goes a long way. And it's very rare that I'm going to hear that, but that's not what I work for. And when you hear people's complaints, and when you hear, like, these are valid complaints that people have, and to work through those, and the challenge of being unified becomes a real challenge, because we're not all at the same place. But I think developing a certain personal constitution of how we treat each other, and what we say to each other, and what we do to each other on a daily basis. Because if you can do that in a good way on a day-to-day basis, at the end of the day, you're going to realize that you done good today, because you done good, you said good. Miigwech.
All right, thank you. All right, so we'll move on to the next one. It's refreshing to hear interest in moving beyond status quo. How would you implement an Anishinaabe governance structure, one that effectively represents who we are as Anishinaabe? Can you describe what that looks like to you? So it's a three-parter, I believe. How would you implement an Anishinaabe governance structure? And can you describe what it looks like? I'll start with our Dennis Stark, and then we'll just go around.
Okay, so we're talking about how we would move to an Anishinaabe governance system.
Yeah.
Okay, I just, I always like to make sure. I always like to make sure that I'm answering the question, right, instead of going off on a tangent that I shouldn't have. Okay, Anishinaabe governance, to me, that's a big term. It goes to our culture, it goes to our language, it goes to our community, it goes to how we relate to one another, how we deal with community members that may be in distress, how we relate to our members who are as far away as BC. I think we have some members in Colorado, so even some in Quebec. So it's all about and everyone's got a little bit different variety of how they spell a simple word like Ani. I spell it the way that I learned from the Native Canadian Centre of Toronto's steps, almost 20 years ago. But I think one of the ways that we can do that is by really concentrating on looking at how we are going to interrelate with one another. And sometimes it's difficult because we're not perfect. We make mistakes. I've made mistakes. I fully acknowledge that, I'm quite capable of making a boneheaded mistake, but I'll admit to it, and then, I'll apologize, and then I'll move on. So then taking our language, taking our culture, and trying to reinvigorate it into not only council meetings, but into our gatherings. Like we should be having a prayer. I know there is a prayer before council meetings. I acknowledge that. But sometimes just having an elder there, or maybe having an elder of both genders, to just to remind us that, because we all have strong opinions on certain things, and and we need to value those strong opinions, because maybe one of them is a good idea and maybe it's not. So by incorporating our values and having that respect for one another, it's very important to continue the working relationship. I know that it's when I was on the boards in Toronto, boy, there could be some. I heard some very nasty exchanges, and I was never involved in one of those, but I've actually seen elders, blasting people on the board. So, anyone can make a mistake, and so we just have to be cognizant of that and continue to show kindness and love for one another, because like Chief said and like Joanne said, we're all related. We're really all related. You go back 4 or 5 generations, and I'm sure Steve is my second cousin. So his mother his mother is my mother's niece. So it's we're that close, and it's so we need to have that sense of strong value and tie to one another, so that we can get past our differences and say, that was a good job. Like I can't commend the the chief and council enough for keeping the island safe this past year and a half. That was really a tremendous accomplishment, considering all that was going around even in our Simcoe Muskoka District Health Unit. So you have to acknowledge that was just a tremendous thing, and it was difficult. I'm sure that there were decisions that they didn't want to make or had to make, but they used their hearts, and that's part of the part of the game, part of the plan, part of what we need to do. So thank you.
All right, thanks, Dennis. So I'm gonna ask the next question. Like I said before, each candidate will have a chance to answer the questions. So Steve, this one goes to you. There's a disconnect between off and on reserve members. How do we go about bringing us together as a more unified membership? And if any other candidate feels they want to answer that question, just let me know after that candidate's done.
Yeah, well, I talked about that a little bit before there, just about how important it is to unify the off-island members and the on-island members. And I think that's one thing that by doing even like a newsletter, letting everybody know what's going on here, and also having the input. I think the priority too is to get all the proper addresses and contact information, which I think is a little lacking right now. And once we have all that and we're able to get a hold of everybody, then we can send out some information to them regarding, whether it's a newsletter, just letting everybody know what's going on here and also off reserve, and also get some feedback from the members so that we can, make a unified decision. Even going back to the, I think that if we don't have that, then a lot of stuff is not going to get accomplished. And I think the Chimney will just go ahead and do what they want to do. And I think we need because the members off island are just as important. Okay. And their opinions count as well. And we need all those opinions in there. And, and whether we're doing questionnaires or surveys to get, what the priorities that we want to do, and that's a good way of doing it. And then we're making a unified decision and, coming up with some solutions that will help everybody.
All right, any other candidates like to jump in there?
Sure, Joseph. Awesome. Yeah, I'd like to touch base on this off and on reserve reconnect. It's important that we celebrate one another and we know where we are. We know that our members are out there leading a life in the world, whether it's off reserve. We know that they're out there and our families, and we're excited about that. And it's an opportunity and an avenue to connect yourself with other places on this planet. You go, wow, I've never been to New York City, but so-and-so has a cousin there, and I'm going to go. Yet our members that are at home leading the life that we do when we're at home on the island and holding the fort strong and holding our families tight, we celebrate that also, and we honor that they're still doing that. And we know that there's success in both worlds, and we really, really just tie into who we are as a membership, always. And, you know, we all started from there, whether it be on the island or Coldwater, wherever we have moved to and from. But the home is being held, and we're celebrating the members that are out there. And if I could touch on the governance question, that'd be great too. Do you mind, Joseph? Is that okay? We need to do our best to look at how we remove ourselves from INAC, and how we do that. And we look at self revenue, own source revenue, right? We need to look at that, but also rekindling the clan process is very, very important for us. And our elders council and those things are really going to help us instill that practice of Anishinaabe governance within our council now. And also really, really work hard at disembarking, like I said, from INAC, or disengaging or unweaving those colonial practices that we had pushed upon us. They were throwing us, and you're gonna operate this way, and you're gonna do it this way and that way only. We need to unweave and untie those, and really get, like you said, get back into these, and weaving our own ways into our Anishinaabe governance structure within our council. Miigwech.
Great. Next question is for Joanne. All right, Joanne, can you hear me?
Yes, Joe, I can hear you.
This is a specific question for you, Joanne. Joanne, why are you deciding to make the change to run for chief?
Well, really, I'm just running for as an elected official. I've been nominated as chief, and I've been nominated for council. I've been in this sort of
Okay.
here. Yeah, I'm looking up, guys. Sorry, it looks like I'm looking at that bird up there on the thing. So I've been in this this life, political and/or administrative life, for 47 years. I've only been in council for 4 terms, 9 years because of COVID was extended, and we need leadership. I'm not saying we don't have leadership. We have Guy as our leader. We've had Rolly, we've had Mary, and I'm looking at a term in office, whether it be a councillor or a chief, to serve our people. I've always said when I do speeches and stuff, we don't need a chief. We need all of our members and all of our council to get together and be on the same page, to make our community better and our membership better and help everyone. So we don't need one dictator, whether that be me or anybody else. We all have to work together. That's all I ever say about this particular thing, whether I'm voted as a chief or as a councillor. I promise to do the best I can, but I don't promise to give out anything, or because it's 6 or 7 people that have to work together to provide what the people need, both our members that live here and our members that don't. I have a lot of family that don't live on Christian Island for whatever reason. They might just not like that boat. So thank you.
Okay, so we'll move on to the next question then.
Joe?
Yes, chief.
I had indicated that I just want to add to the governance of how that would be implemented in our community. And it really comes down to the teachings of how that would actually happen. I wasn't born traditional. I wasn't born with those teachings, and those teachings would have to be provided to us with from elders. And some of you may remember a few years back that we did adopt an elders council, and that's something that that needs work on, and pulling that elders council together. I think I think at that time it was suggested that terms of reference be developed, but I think that's getting a little too technical. The other thing, bringing our people together. Years ago, we talked about having a homecoming and having that celebration on our day on June 21st, having a homecoming and acknowledging those people that have rarely come to the island, or it might even be their first time on the island. So I think having a homecoming and now in the digital age, I think it's important that we develop our own member site that we can share that family information, whether it's through video or photos, and sharing that information about each other, because there's a lot that we have to learn about each other. Pretty much.
All right, thank you. All right, so I'm going to move on to Doug.
Okay. What was the question, Joe? Sorry.
No, I'm going to ask you a new question.
Okay.
Okay. What are your thoughts on preserving and educating our native language? How would you go about moving your thoughts forward?
No, okay. Perfect. Right along my lines. Preserving our language is again one of the most important things that Anishinaabe needs. Okay, they need that voice. They need that voice, and when you speak the language, it's a describing, like one strong word that always stuck out was mamwe. Mamwe, neki. So we're here, we're present on the earth. Kinumage, teachings of the earth. Okay, and just these small teachings can taught within the band office to show if you start, the kids are speaking, they can speak the language, but they have nobody to speak to. They have nobody to speak to. And they're really proud, but again, it keeps us down. And we need to be, as teachers, we need to listen to our kids and speak our language. And it's not hard. It's not hard. It's a commitment. It's who you are. Yeah, to preserve the language, write it down. A lot of our elders are going now. We need to start recording them. Okay, because that old language is being lost. It's being lost and forgotten. So we need to preserve that. We need that. That's where your pride is. That's where your identity is right there. And we need to start now. We're in a good situation right now where we got quite a bit speakers than other southern communities, and it needs to be implemented immediately to do more.
All right, we're going to move on to Wes. We're going to keep our responses to 60 seconds. And then we'll ask the next question after Wes is done.
Sure. I just wanted to touch this one for sure. Preserving language is crucial. It's a lifeline to us. Without our language, as Doug has spoken, without that language, you don't understand the full teaching. You don't understand the full description of what's being taught or being shared. And it is a vital lifeline to who we are as Indigenous people, and whether we're going to practice celebrating each other or we're going to incorporate Indigenous governance, the language survival is a must, without question. And it's a medicine. It's a medicine for our people, for success and our honors to who we are as people and our original practices. We have to have that, and we have to dive into that full force, without question. Very much.
Thank you, Wes. All right, so next question will go to the chief. Its election code is sitting in Parliament. Do you know why and what the process will be to put it in effect?
Once the election code was passed by our membership in a few years back, it was submitted to Indigenous Services Canada and for final approval. So the final approval has to be run through Justice to make a recommendation to the minister. And so the minister has to do final sign off on this to take us out of the Indian Act to be able to make our own custom election code. So there's a small window between when we call, when we decide we're going to call an election for ISC staff to present that to the minister, sign off, and have it ready for our next election. It's been submitted them for over a year now, and they missed 2 windows. And each time we got close to our election, they still didn't have it ready. So it's really contingent upon ISC staff to present it to the minister for final sign off. And I asked that question before just a few weeks ago of the department that's handling it. And so that's what they updated with me with, is that in order to use this for our next election, now we're going to have to wait again. So it's contingent upon us calling the election and them presenting it to the minister. So it's kind of ridiculous. So we'll have to look further into that, into getting around that of how they can. Do they have to wait for us to call an election to approve that? Like we need an answer from legal on how that can actually be done. So I think more pushing of ISC staff to move that along. And we were hoping to use it for this election, and it didn't happen. And I was pretty disheartened that it didn't happen. Very good.
Thank you, Chief. All right, this one goes out to Wes. So we're just go start over here. So Wes, many of the issues that I see, not me, it's a question, people complaining about is transparency on spending. What, if anything, will you do to change the current systems in use?
Well, it's just communication is everything. Communication will eliminate any wonder or misguided information that's out there. You have to communicate updated minutes, whether we have to use new forms of technology and buy into the new forms of technology to reach our members and allow them, and also get them out in terms that everybody understands. Not everybody can read legal documents or even financial documents in such fashion that they're presented. And we operate where we recognize everybody as equal, and how we meet them to understand the information we're obtaining, the resources we're obtaining, the resources we're using. We just have it explained on all levels that need to be. And like the one thing there with the minutes, like we have to be on top of them without question, because that's our role and responsibility.
Thanks, Wes. Okay, this is for all candidates, and we'll start with Dennis to answer. For all candidates, currently we are in a time where addictions and mental health are greatly affecting our membership, especially our young people. I haven't heard any of the candidates speak much on this issue, knowing that we have a problem within the community. What are your plans to address this to bring us back to a healthy community that we were once? Sorry.
I've talked to a couple of the candidates who have expertise in this area, because I don't. I freely admit that I don't have the expertise in addictions. I know what addictions are, but I've never had to experience them. I did have a brother who was an alcoholic, and I slowly watched, or I watched him slowly drink himself to death. That's about as close as I've come to being involved in addictions, and believe me, it was tough to watch my brother slowly die. So I'm going to be looking to people who are who have experience in addictions to step forward and say, Dennis, I can do that, or I'll take the lead on that, and I'll gladly step back. I'll gladly step back and let those community members who have that experience in addictions and mental health issues, because I don't have any experience in that either. So it's hard for anyone to be experienced in every single facet of community life. So that would be my plan. I do think, though, after talking to the 2 or 3 people, that we need our own addiction center. Now, whether it's our own right on the island or on a parcel of land inside, on the mainland, or whether we share one with our tri-council partners, that's to be decided. That's it.
All right, thank you. All right, so we'll move on to Steve. Same question. Do you want, actually, if you want to answer,
Yep.
just let me know.
Yeah, could I just, oh yeah, so I'll answer that one and then kind of relate it to another question too that I can answer too. So that with the addictions and wellness and stuff like that, you know, I think that if there was more options, especially on Chimising, that people could go out to use as an outlet. I think what happens sometimes too is that when people are addicted, whatever it is, just having nothing else to do just feeds into that as well. So I think boredom, just having nothing to do, and that ends up being, you know, more of a choice. So I think if they had more choice and options and what they could do here, whether that's youth groups, clubs for men and women that can help with that. You know, again, going back to sports and wellness too, that's a lot of stuff. It's a good outlet, a good, healthy outlet to hopefully, you know, resolve the addiction. And, you know, as Dennis is saying, we probably do need some type of, you know, addictions, you know, like structure set up here so that people can go there and, you know, whether it's a support group, you know, to get some resolution to that. And just quickly, about the education, I had to go into this because I am teaching over at Christian Island Elementary with Doug, just about how important the language is. And, you know, when we have it, you know, up to grade 8, which is great. But after that, it seems to trail off a lot. And I think that's where we have to kind of pick up the ball a little bit. And again, maybe we draw it in with youth groups. We have to draw some other interests in there too, I think, with the culture and the language as well. Because, you know, as Wesley said, you know, we lose the language, we lose the culture, we're done. Okay, so that's one thing that's so important. Once the language is gone, the culture goes with it. Okay, and it's been proven time and time again in history. So we don't want to be part of that. We want to be, you know, positive and continue to grow instead of regress.
Right. Thanks, Steve. Would any other candidate like to answer?
Sorry, can you rephrase the question for me again? And I want to speak to it.
Oh. Currently, we are in a time where addictions and mental health are greatly affecting our membership, especially our young people. I haven't heard any of the candidates speak much on the issue. Knowing that we have a problem within the community, what are your plans to address this to bring us back to a healthy community that we once were?
Miigwech, Joseph. And the reality is our addictions come from trauma. And we need to look at healing as a whole. Not one of our families, not one of our community members are not experiencing trauma. Our families and our communities affected by trauma, and the colonial practices that brought us this, and the way we move forward with less of our culture involved in our lives, have led us down this path. And when we return to the avenues and the practices of our Indigenous ways, we will remove the addiction process, we'll remove the trauma processes from our life. It's without question. We've moved too far ahead without bringing it together. And when you have a role and responsibility with Indigenous livelihood, there's no room for addiction. There's no room for that. Your healing is there. But we heal at home, we heal within our community, we heal as each other as equals, and we move forward from that trauma. We move forward from that addiction. But not one of us are any different from another person in it. And it's not the person, it's not something that you know they're looking to do. It's something that's happened to them. And I want to know that we're in it together as we heal. Miigwech.
All right, thank you, Wes. All right, Joanne, you'd like to speak on this next?
Yeah, I'd like to speak on it. You know, our addiction problem is vast. It's I know one year we had a constable that we interviewed for the job, and he he said, oh yeah, I deal with addictions all the time where I am up north. He said, we busted the taxi driver for bringing lacquer to the community, and now they're not addicted to that anymore. And I said, well, you're in for a treat when you come to Christian Island or our communities, Midland. Drug abuse is really, really bad here, and it does stem from long-term abuse, whether it's physical, mental, or sexual, that people have kept at bay or hidden, or it's not a good thing to talk about. And we do have circles for people to help them, but circles aren't always there. People don't want everyone to know their business. They'd rather have a one-on-one. We need services. Right now, we don't have an alcohol and drug worker. We used to have Red Road. We don't have that anymore, and it ended up, it was the same 9 or 10 people that went to the same programming all the time. They have to be encouraged and talked to. My brother wouldn't take a prescription drug if his life depended on it, but boy, he'd take the other stuff, no problem. And I think we really have to look at this. What with the COVID being what it is, it's really, really bad. And our membership are saying, well, hey, what's going on here? We can't go to town when we need to. We're restricted, but the people that are abusing get to go to town 2 or 3 times a day because they need help. We need help to start here. We need our health. And we used to have a mandated hope and healing program. We set aside money every year to deal with that program and to get the support from someone to come here and help our people, because there's not one family on this First Nation or out there that's not affected by this drug use problem. And it really has to be dealt with in a kind way and sometimes in a nasty way, because you have to be able to get up to that person's face and say, hey, buddy, you need help. And I've got 2 brothers I've lost that abuse drugs all the time. I didn't lose them because of that, but it's right there in my family, and everybody else's. It has to be taken care of. It's a big issue. Thank you.
Hey, Joe.
Yeah.
It's Doug. Just touching on the addictions. We can't tell a person what to do, but we can provide them an avenue to correct and make different changes. And one of those changes is what I'd like to see on the island is, and work towards, is a camp. If you go back to the land, start to live again, and providing those for those that are affected, it will give them an opportunity and let them think about it, because we could do anything we want. We could throw thousands of dollars at all these things, and if they don't want to do it, they won't do it. But if you provide them with an avenue so they can make those decisions on themselves and for themselves, I think it would do wonders. And yeah, it's affected the community dearly, and I feel it. It's in my family, and we need to get together and do this. Which?
Thank you. Any other candidate would like to speak on this issue?
So there's a lot of supports here, in and out, like through time, we've had good supports, and it would drop off, but it's all dependent again on people's will and people's time when they want to do that. And there's a lot of different solutions and supports that are required for this, and not one thing is going to do it. I mean, we are in discussions at the tribal council or at the Chippewa Tri-Council communities to look at our own center to help with addictions, and that's in discussions right now. We're looking at a property, but what's really important is that having local supports, because people go away to treatment and they come back to the same environment and start all over again. And that's one of the issues that we have to contend with here locally is I see a lot of people leaving for treatment. They come back home and they start all over again because it's the same environment that they left. And a big part of that really is the hope and the level of hope that they have coming back to this community, and those supports, and a hope. They have a greater hope for their future. And that's what we have to provide. Along with those supports.
Thank you. All right. There was a question for Mr. Stark here, but I'm going to move on to another question, and then we'll go back to that one. because there's a couple questions that are similar, so I just want to make sure I'm just asking it once, not like 4 times. So with such a large amount of BFN employees resigning in the last 3 years, from managers to directors and other employees, what would you do as an elected chief to ensure that employees and community member grievances are heard, understood, dealt with, and replied back to in a timely manner from either chief and council, the BFN administrator, or HR? Chief, we'll leave that one. We'll start with you on that one.
A lot of the challenges I see our staff go through is burnout. They get burnt out by so many stresses that they face on a day-to-day basis. And the other thing that I hear quite often is that we're not competitive in our salaries, and we have to pay our people better. We have to value them more. And it's not always all about money, but that's a big part of any career. You want to make sure that you're being paid properly to stay in that position, and to feel that you don't have to reach outside of that to help your family survive. And but the conditions within the work environment. Every director, every manager, and every staff has a policy that they can turn to for support, and a lot of times the policy is not being looked at as part of the mechanism to deal with their grievance. And I think somebody mentioned that it shouldn't always come to the council table to deal with those grievances. There has to be a mechanism to deal with those, and that's why directors are put in place. So they're the next level of authority from the council, and they should be able to deal with a lot of those decisions that come to our table, so we can deal more effectively with community needs.
Thanks, Chief. Okay, so we're gonna there's a question here. It was for Dennis Stark, and we want everyone, all the candidates, to answer the question. It's based off social media. So there's a recent uproar within our community via social media. And why was the comment made? It was brought to light, and why was it said? And how do you feel about issuing a public apology surrounding the comment? We all probably know what the comment was. So maybe we can relate it to social media and how we post certain opinions that may be against what's being said out there. So, Mr. Stark, how do you? What are your comments on this question?
Yeah, I answered the question in the question section, but I'll answer it again publicly. On that morning that I think it was almost 2 weeks ago, or no, today's Tuesdays, 9 days ago. 9 days ago, I got up. I didn't have my glasses on, and you know, someone had messaged me, and so then we got into a discussion, and I misinterpreted something that he typed because I didn't have my glasses on, and he said something about running. He actually said, "I'm running from those 2 words." I'm not going to say them again because I know I made a mistake. And I interpreted that he was running with those 2 words. And so, and I normally don't answer a post right away, but he used those 2 words. So I just basically took his 2 words and said, you know, there's 23% living on, and then there's another 77% off. About an hour and a half later, after I'd eaten breakfast and had coffee and stuff, I got back on Facebook and looked at it, and this time I had my glasses on, and then I saw the mistake that I had made, and I went, holy Jesus, this is going to open up a can of worms. So, you know, I changed it. I changed it back to band members, and then, you know, I started getting all kinds of hate mail. So, you know, I accept it. I accept responsibility for making that comment. It was a bad choice. And would I do it again? No. And I probably will not answer posts very quickly again. but I also, I also acknowledge that, nobody's perfect. Not every counselor, not every chief candidate is going to be perfect 100% of the time. We're all capable of making mistakes. So I apologize to the member in particular in a private email, saying that was, completely out of character for me. And, and then I was blocked from the Facebook forum, so I couldn't issue a public apology. And it was only just yesterday that I realized that somehow I was allowed back onto the forum. So I'll do it right here. I'll issue an apology I apologize to Brian Norton by myself, and I apologize to all the community members, because I am not that type of person. I never have been, but like I said, we can all reach a boiling point, and part of it could be frustration with, I'm cooped up just as much as you are. We have, we get to go some places here on the mainland, but not much more than you guys do. So yeah, I'll acknowledge it. I own up to it, and I apologize. I apologize publicly to all of the band members. That's not me, and I learned a very humbling lesson through that. So miigwech, and I hope that that this ends it.
Thank you. Wes would like to comment on this as well. Wes, Dennis, and we'll come back to you at the end.
Yep.
Wes, if you could include your closing remarks, and then we'll go around the list. Okay. So
Yeah,
we're gonna wrap it up. That was the last question. I know there are tons more questions. Like I said, I'm gonna send it to all the candidates so that you guys can provide your feedback in 24, 48 hours, and I'll send it out to membership.
First and foremost, miigwech for making this opportunity happen for us and all members. I appreciate that, Joseph, and everybody who's worked behind the scenes. This is not easy to make happen. When I put that, I wanted to speak about the BFN employee question and stuff, and I want to look at looking at bringing an outside resource in aiding us. And sometimes it does become difficult when we have our families involved. Sometimes it does become difficult when we have our families involved. Then we need to maybe observe another practice to help us get through these times, and when employees are leaving. Also, pay scale, pay structure, pay equality is important for all members, all of us who attain positions through the First Nation. It's important. And one of the things I look at is one of the most dangerous things in the English language is we've always done it this way, and that limits your growth and your potential. And we need to look at what's going on here with employee resignation and so forth, and move forward in a way that we understand what's going on. Secondly, social media is an avenue that we're all involved in. And some of us never thought we probably would be in our lives. And you look at the federal government, and they're involved in it, so we have to move forward with it and move forward. Who I am here and who I am on social media and who I will be there is the same person, and it takes practice in moving in an unreactive manner. So I acknowledge, hey, stepping up and speaking to the members here that are in this forum. Miigwech for coming here and spending this time with us. We've been here for a long time, and I really appreciate you taking out time to find out who we are as candidates. I acknowledge you for stepping up and coming forth. And it's not easy to get your name put forth. It's not. And tell people why you would love to represent the community, the membership, the island, our members far and wide. So I acknowledge you and I honor you for doing that. It's beautiful. Someone out there in your families and your membership have seen that in you. So give yourself thanks for that. It's not easy. So miigwech. And as we move forward, I hope there's another forum or two, and reach out to me, connect with me, phone, Facebook, message, and May 22nd is coming up soon. I'm not running against anybody. I'm here to show you who I am and what I can bring to the community. Oh, miigwech.
Wes. All right, Dennis, closing remarks.
Okay, I forgot to thank my nominators. My brother Leon nominated me along with Marcia Macy. So I'm deeply honored. My entire family filled out nomination forms. So that was, and I have differences with my brothers. So it was quite an honor to have all of them nominate me. Although Leon and Marcia Macy were my nominators of record. I can only reiterate that accountability and transparency, open and honest communication are keys to whatever work we all try to accomplish, whether we get elected to council or as chief. I bring that. The one thing I wanted to address that I didn't get a chance to was Chief talked about the election code not being prepared to be signed off on. Well, I protested the election code, and because only 20% of the members voted on it, and there's a Supreme Court of Canada decision that says you have to have 50% plus one when you're trying to do anything basically that replaces the Indian Act. So that's where I stepped up. So I don't want to, we'll let the Indigenous Services Canada deal with it, and they'll make their decision one way or the other. The other thing was, okay, I know I made a blunder, so I want to help lead that reconciliation between on the island and the mainland members, because what better way to punish me or to make me make atones for that transgression. And the last thing is, again, that we need this addition to reserve a policy to be, we need to work on that. We need to get a land base that's on the mainland and not just at Cedar Point. We need to look at thinking about, a parcel of land. I'm talking about 1,000 acres, either in Midland, Penetang, or just outside of Barrie. And if we can't get cooperation from those municipalities, then maybe we'll talk to the township. But again, that would be a whole, I can't do it myself. I need a chief and council to do that, and a community that wants to have a mainland base. So, those are the 4 pillars of my platform. I want to thank everyone here for bringing forward their ideas. Lots of good ideas. I think there's lots of good intentions. Somehow we will get there. It's up to the voters now, and maybe we'll have another presentation. Although my concern, and before I close off, is that if the lockout is extended past the current date of May 19th for just one more week, then what happens to the election? So, I'm putting that out there, because if we're in lockdown like we are right now, nobody from the mainland is going to be able to go and vote on the island on election day. And if it's a stay-at-home order, how are even the island residents going to be able to vote? So I'm just putting that out there. I'm not asking anyone to answer it, but thank you very much. Miigwech.
I'll provide an answer to that. So I'm part of the emergency operations team. We'll bring that question. Those are concerns that have been discussed at the table, and there are ongoing discussions. The chief can probably add more to this during his closing remarks, but those are concerns, and we will look into that and get back to membership in plenty of time. And Joanne will probably have something to add to that as well during her closing remarks. So thank you for that question, Dennis.
Thank you. Miigwech.
Steve, closing remarks?
Yeah, I'd like to thank all the listeners, participants that came on to the Zoom tonight. Yeah, it was a little bit lengthy, but I think you got a little bit better idea of who we are now. I also thank all the candidates for all the information that was given tonight. I got a lot of other points of view on the questions, which was great. So it was always a learning experience of that, and going through this whole campaign. And just, I think that, I see, some of the stuff that's come up is a little bit negative and stuff like that. And I always like to think I'm a positive guy. If you do know me or you do see me, I usually have a smile on my face. I'm walking by and say hi. And I've done that ever since I've been here and probably done it my whole life. So anyway, I hope that I can be approachable for everybody and kind of spread that positive attitude through the community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve. All right, Joanne. Just some closing remarks.
Yeah, thank you for this this forum and this information session. I see there's still 34 questions that we didn't answer for people out there in the community. I answer questions for a lot of people. I get a lot of phone calls in a day. We all do, the chief and myself. And I think one of the misunderstandings of the membership out there and some of the people here is that we provide a government for our people that cities in Canada and Ontario also provide, but it's us that provides the transportation and the fire and the roads and the health and the education. Nobody does that for us. Nobody cares if our boat isn't running when you live somewhere else. Nobody cares that our lights went off or anything like that, or they're off for 3 or 4 days. We have to deal with those things ourselves. It's good that we get to have a big boat. I'm not worried about the COVID issue. I'm sure we'll work that out. We do let population come over to the First Nation in their vehicles, so they stay there. We set up the nominations and we had no issue with that. I think there's 10 people at a time that were allowed into the recreation center. They came in one door, they did their nomination, they went out the other door, and I'm sure that can be the same for the election. And we did the same thing for our COVID shots. You know, we were allowed so many people, they came in and they went back out. I think that can be dealt with. As for the election code, we've been working on that election code for years, and it's not sitting on our table, it's sitting on the table in Ottawa where nobody goes to work, they're all working from home. So we've been, and their chief has been involved on several occasions, and we have copies of those emails that it's being worked on, it's done, it's almost there, just needs a signature any day now. That was 7 months ago. So I think my best to everybody who's running as a candidate for chief, and my best to the people who will be running for council, and we can put our best foot forward and hope that we can make this, it's a good community, but we can always make it better. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne. All right, Doug.
I just be will just walk with me. We'd not more strong. We all help each other to stand strong. Thank you for listening. I enjoyed everybody's company and the wonderful. We are a great community, and I'd like to thank each and every one of you for coming on. It is not hard. I'm like so nervous here, but me watch join Monague and past chiefs. We're going to stand strong, and we will just walk with me. Let's walk together by each other. Nobody in front, nobody behind. Let's walk together, and we can be a strong community again. Now, amigos.
Chief, any closing remarks?
Okay. So I got to say, candidates, I really enjoyed this, and I thank you for being here. It's been a real pleasure to listen to everybody, and this is with an open mind and an open heart that I sit here and listen to you express what you view should be happening in our community, and I appreciate that. I wish I could tell you that this was an easy job, but it's not. It's a challenge from day to day, and what gives me strength is my council and the staff and the teams that we have going here. The emergency operations team, since this pandemic started, have provided me that strength. I mean, this is a lot to work through, and I'm glad I had each and every one of them at that table. And we connect on what's a software, a Basecamp software. So every issue that comes up with our ongoing discussion on there, within that discussion, when everybody adds to it, we eventually find a solution just within that discussion. And I want to say something about this forum here, that we need to build off this. We need to make this happen as a regular thing, because I mean, it's one thing to sit and listen to somebody for like all day. Like I've been on Zoom calls there every day since last year. But to be able to sit and discuss about what has to happen in this community, a lot of great minds here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chief. All right, so that concludes our candidates forum for Chief. Tomorrow we'll be starting right at 5:30 for the first 14 counselors, candidates. So you'll note not everybody is on that list. Again, everyone needed to express their interest to participate. So the list has been published online on Facebook and sent to the distro. So we will start with Alex King tomorrow at 5:35. There is no Q&A portion due to the amount of candidates. However, I have been receiving some feedback that people would like another candidates forum. So I will work something out for hopefully next week. We'll figure it out between now and then. Other than that, I hope everybody enjoyed this. This is the first time I've actually had almost 180 people join on Zoom. So a lot of organizing and planning went into this. I hope everyone enjoyed it. I am open to feedback and comments and suggestions. Just save them for tomorrow. No. Everybody have a good night, and I hope y'all drive safe. And I will be sending the videos out and information out when I figure out where I'm going to share that information. Bamapi, everyone have a great evening. Thank you.